by TyreSpot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. TyreSpot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Oh, hang on a second. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Always Fun and Face podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. As you can see, for the second week in a row, we are back to lockdown days. But this week, we're joined by Besty. It's just like old time, boys, isn't it? Has everybody got a beer in hand?
Don't be Guinness.
Just you, Mark, that doesn't.
Got a Pepsi.
Down, letting the team down. So, plenty happening in the last week, boys. Unlike Newcastle United, but yeah, plenty happening. And I just want to start off, okay? And I think we need to take a moment of silence here. And it's for you, Deka. We just want to know how you are feeling this week.
I'm all right now, to be honest. I'm all right. It's fine. You know, I think I had me outburst last week with Mark. The chapter's done, isn't it? It's closed. Like, you know, I'm happy it happened. I still don't think it's the right decision, but I'm never going to change on that one, am I? But no, listen, like, he's moved on. It is what it is. We have to just, as Mark would say, adapt.
Besty, we're going to start off with getting your thoughts on this one, okay? Because we're going to start off, this is the last time we're going to mention, hopefully, unless there's a question come in. This week, we did see Maxi leave. Obviously, the club announced it. Maxi put a lovely message on his social media channels as well. Is this the right decision? 20 million quid? Or do we need to look at the bigger picture as to why this is happening?
I would rather he'd stayed. I think I'd said that all the way through. I'd rather have kept St. Maximin and kind of see what he had to contribute in the Champions League and, you know, with the kind of extra fixtures that we're going to have this season. But when the noise earlier in the summer was about having to adhere to FFP and the difference that 20 whatever it is million would make to kind of being able to get players in, having that money available straight away and the amortization as it is, I think I'm sad to see him go, but I think it probably on the balance of things is the right thing to do. Yeah.
I think we touched on last week, Mark, and not to focus too much on it, but Maxi was always going to be that one that was leaving because he was the one that was going to bring, well, what we thought was going to be a lot more than 20 million. Let's be honest, but I'm seeing a lot more. You were looking more at 30, weren't you?
20 million. Yeah. He's going to say it's too much.
You must have been shocked at 20 million as well.
Yeah, maybe that's his true market value.
Were you shocked at 20 mil, Mark?
I thought it would be when you consider some of the fees that are being bandied around for people going over to the Saudi League. You're expecting it to be inflated, and rightfully so.
So, do you think he's worth more than 20, or do you think? Well, let's rephrase that. Sorry, I think I've rephrased that wrong. So, you think
yes,
should it be maybe more inflated? So, you think he's worth 20 million? That's his worth. That's it.
He's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for him, isn't he? But I did expect them to go for more than that. But it's, I don't know, is it telling, or is it a surprise that, you know, when we are talking about such a small amount of money, that, you know, we sat here last week and said he was the most saleable asset. But, you know, again, there's not a massive queue of people wanting to snap him up at £20 million.
Deka, I just want to get your thoughts on this, though, is that apparently Newcastle United had to explain why they valued Alan St. Maximin at 20 million quid. How does that happen? And if you just put Maxi to one side, no matter what player it is leaving the club, why did we then have to do that? Because obviously we're selling, we're selling to Saudi Arabia. Obviously there's the grey areas in relation to that straight away in regards to our relationship.
Yeah. I personally, I understand exactly why. I really do. I think because obviously, you know, bearing in mind it's the same link, you know, the same ownership model, the same owners and stuff. I understand that, like, they could maybe say, "Oh, we're just selling him for 100 million." Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a way to get around the back door of FFP, similar to what remember Man City did years ago with their sponsorship stuff with the stadium and things like that. You know, they would just them own that stadium so they could pump in as much as they wanted. So I understand that to a degree. I was honestly shocked at 20 million. Like I wasn't expecting 40 or 50 either. Can I just add here? But I thought maybe 28 to 30. That's what I honestly thought it was going to be, given his age and the contract he had left and stuff. I thought 28 or 30 was right. I thought it was quite reasonably priced. And I put it on Twitter, right? And there was people going back to me just banging on saying like, no, that's a fair value. This is his stats, blah, 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 you know, things like that, which isn't their entitled to their opinion. Absolutely. I just honestly thought 20 million was a snip, like, to be honest, like, but that obviously, you know, how I feel about him, but I thought even the people that didn't really like him or value him that much, 20 million is nothing in today's market, like, personally. Yeah. But yeah, 20 million is now, right? Like it's actually nothing. Like it's hardly anything. I think 20 million, but
it honestly doesn't go very far. 20 million
gets you a Chris Woods or a John Joe Shelby.
The goalkeeper.
Christ. Exactly.
Chris Wood, to be pedantic.
Besty.
There you go. So Chris Wood was, how much did we pay for him again? 15?
It was 20 plus, wasn't it?
20 plus. Yeah. Now, I know people are going to go, oh, but it was the times and we needed him. I mean, can we just think about that for a moment? The same price as Chris Wood for him. How? Come on, lads.
No, I'm in agreement, mate. I'm in agreement. Besty.
Mark, you can't. Come on, Mark. He shook his head there. Come on, Mark.
But again, was there a queue of teams lining up to take him at £20 million?
You're obsessed with this queue. I'm not interested in the queue. What I'm asking you is £20 million for Chris Wood or 20 million for St. Maxim. Who do you think's the better value of that side of the coin? Who do you think's better?
Well, obviously St. Maximum, but I'm saying is that
fine. Move on.
When you know, we're banging on about saying, oh, well, it's not enough money, but if nobody was going to pay more than £20 million, then he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
and we needed to shift him off the books.
I get it from both sides. I do. What I do want to touch on, Besty, we'll end it on this one with Maxi, is his messages that he was put on social media and his little video.
Oh yeah,
that he put on. It was a lovely little touch, that wasn't it?
They were nice, yeah, and it does feel as though, I mean, he's put loads of videos out over the kind of past 4 years, and people have tried to read between the lines of what he's been saying, but it felt as if it was very genuine as well. It felt as if it was what he was saying, and like Joe Bullock's message to him that just in the last couple of hours, and he said, "Oh, I'll friends for life" type of thing, and all that. It is nice. What I will say about the fee, if I may just kind of touch on that again, if we'd have been signing St. Maximin for £20 million, do you think it was a snip? You know, if he'd have come from like, if he'd have been like say Wolves and we'd gone for £20 million, he'd be going like, Christ, that's brilliant, that. 100%. So I think we do seem to have had a thing with getting players off the books. For a long time, it's been perceived to be like the players that are getting paid too much or too long left in their contracts. Is it a problem that we're having that department, like just all around? You know, I mean, I know this week Lewis has gone to Watford he's gone on loan, hasn't he, Lewis?
Loan.
Yeah. Darlow's gone to Leeds, obviously.
That was a small fee as well, I thought, personally. I thought that was a small fee as well.
Yeah, I just saw that in the chat. It was 800 grand, I think, Darryl was saying.
It was less than $1 million.
400, wasn't it?
400, 400, right?
400
grand.
Yeah. But again, I think it's just more to do with getting them off the books than anything.
But it's taken that long to do it. Like, we've still got Jeff Hendrick, we've still got Isaac Hayden, who haven't got futures at the club.
I think Eddie Howe came out. Eddie Howe got asked that question, didn't he? And he said, like, and he worded it so well. But what he basically meant was, well, can I get rid of this Dross? No football club wants them. He put it in a much nicer, more professional.
I was going to say that's a bit harsh of him.
No, but
very harsh, aren't they?
If you read what he said, that's literally what he said. He said, like, listen, like we would prefer these people to find a new football club, enjoy their career, and move on. But what kind of nobody wants them because they've got either long left contracts or he used much better words than I'm saying. Basically, what he was saying is they're absolutely shite. Nobody wants them. What can I get them off the books? You know, so we'll have to sacrifice somebody else. And unfortunately, that person, well, Darlow as well. And of course, Maxi's gone. Yeah. But I thought that, going back to what you said, Chris, I thought that the words you put were absolutely amazing. The video was lush. Like, I would much rather someone leave in that frame, you know, like wishing we're well and loving his time here rather than like, fuck you. I would much rather that he's enjoyed his time here and he's thanked the fans and that, to be fair, I thought, I think I've banged the drum for a while. Well, actually, maybe too long. That there's loads of fans against him and blah blah blah. But I thought it was lovely the amount of messages seemed to be. He was getting a lot of kind messages and thanking him, and that's fine. That's great. You part ways and you wish him all the best and you move on. But
it looks a bit strange seeing him in a different shirt, though, doesn't it?
He looked lush. Like I'm going to buy that shirt. Like 100%. That'll be the shirt.
I've been sports washed all over the shop. You're like,
I've sports washed a bit.
This is going to be like Mitrovic all over again, isn't it? Look what he's doing. Look at him over there. He doesn't play for anymore, lads. No, it doesn't matter.
I don't think I would. I'll not judge him either way, even if he did amazing or shit. I don't think I don't know what his motivation would be really like over there. I don't know, right? But I'm just saying.
I know his motivation is. To quote you, Deka, monies.
I look at that front three and I think these could score 55 a game. Like when I look at that front three, but will they really be motivated? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it was just mad, though, wasn't it? Seeing him hold up a different shirt and be in a different shirt, it was quite mad. And I see that as if he's been at us for like 10 years. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds ridiculous to say that. But,
right.
Felt like that at times.
Moving on. One of the first comments going in is from Jules that says, "Can I say again, lads? The fish video was absolutely class. Still, literally crying, laughing. Do you know what it is, right? We're dreading this, but once we've done it, lads, we're pretty glad that we did it, weren't we? Because we had a good laugh doing it.
No.
Deka had a good laugh at everybody.
Yeah, do you know what was amazing about it? I couldn't smell it for half the time. It was brilliant. The way the wind was blowing.
That's because the wind was blowing away from you, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was crying, laughing at you too. Like, honestly,
it was.
But then, obviously, I did get the odd whiff here, and it was as bad as you could ever imagine. Like, it really was.
I'm very glad that you did it as well. Then. I'm delighted. I watched it. I watched it last week, but after you did it, and then I watched it when I was cooking of all times yesterday. I was making this so blocky things. All he has Mark going. It's a crease when you first start opening the tin, and you can see the kind of ejaculate coming.
Oh.
And it's you can see Mark kind of go, then you go, Kris, and then Deka sitting there totally oblivious because it's just not.
Just honestly, Besty, the wind was literally, it was a canny breeze and it just taken everything away from Deka.
I was laughing so much because I had said seconds before, this isn't going to spray all over, was it? And then he opened it and it sprayed all over Mark, and I was like, if anyone deserves it, it's him. So that was amazing.
But if people haven't seen the video, you can go. It's available to everybody at the minute. I just want to thank everybody that did sign up to become a member just to watch the video, because we had around about 20 members sign up in the space of 24 hours just to obviously watch that one. But yeah, thanks very much, everybody. So let's get on to Newcastle United as a football team now. Okay, we've spoken about Maxi. That chapter has closed, like Deka said. Obviously, we've touched on the fish video. And Mark, let's talk about Newcastle United memberships, because that has been a talking point, and one hell of a talking point at the moment. Do you think the club have learned from their mistakes that they made with the Wembley ticketing fiasco? By that, what I mean is that have they gave enough information on the first day they should have, or was there a lot of questions left to be answered?
I think we're nearly a week after memberships have been released, and there's still a whole host of questions that have been unanswered. So the fact that they didn't have any communication ahead of time of releasing them and how it would work and all of that kind of thing is a real own goal. Just to use footballing puns there. But I think as soon as it kind of came out, there should have been a whole set of FAQs, clear communication around what needs to happen. Very, very poor.
Spot on there, Mark. Yep.
Do you think it's been the first real bit of communication where the club have lacked? Because I think, Besty, a lot of people were obviously with what we're being used to, with obviously the previous ownership and Lee Charney, the communication was very, very poor. Since arrival of the new owners and the likes of Darren Hales and other people being appointed in certain positions, we've seen the communication get a hell of a lot better. It seemed like we took another bit of a step back with, because like what I said before, there's so many questions, and it took for for toon polls to ring the box office to get answers for people,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be reliant on fans to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't very well. I mean, I read through the emails when they came through and the article and all that. And Scott was mentioned earlier that the international member, it looked as though being an international member got your priority.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It's just the way it was worded because it was toon polls. And the trust kind of rang up and got in touch with that one lass and said, "Oh, here's how it's meant to be." But yeah, I don't think the Wembley thing was particularly well done with regards to when the ballots started and if there'd be kind of priority given to the pots. I mean, this is going back 6 months ago nearly now.
Yeah.
But yeah, this membership, I think calling it fiasco is a little bit over the top, but it's not been very well.
Oh, it's back to lockdown days. We've lost Besty, everybody that's listening to the audio. We have lost Besty.
Has he moved into Darryl's spare bedroom?
Deka, I'm going to come to you, and I know you are away for a little bit of that.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
You obviously you're somebody that's affected by these memberships.
Yeah.
Are you confident that you know everything that is just happening now?
I know absolutely nothing. All I know is, well,
that's completely untrue because I've told you everything that you need to do.
Do you know? Can I say one thing? Mark is my go-to. You know, Mark is like, do you know when like I go in our chat, right, and there's been 1,000 things said, you know, like, my God, I go to Mark and go, what is that? What does all that mean? And what I would say is the communication is I think everyone's scampered to want to be a member because the shit, how else am I going to get a ticket? What else am I going to do? But the communication has been horrendous. And I mean, there was about 100,000 people in the queue, right? And when I bought one and I thought, what was the point, really? Like, I don't actually think I'm going to get anything from buying that except throwing 37 quid away.
I think the issue is, Deka, is that everybody jumped on.
Sure.
Then later on, everybody was, actually, it's unlimited. There's no cap on this. And like you said, there's 60,000 people in the queue.
Yeah.
Waiting to get something which is unlimited.
And to what Mark said there, like, that should have been out, explained from the start, right? Like, well before they came on sale, explain what the membership's going to give you, how many's available. I mean, come on here, man. We're a professional operation, man. Like, and I think that, I don't know how to word this. I don't want to, I just think it's really bad on the fans that, and I feel as if it's took for granted a little bit that, listen, we could throw a membership out there and everyone's going to want one. And that's exactly what has happened. But that's really unfair on us as fans, I think, personally. And
the only saving grace, if you can kind of look at it that way, is, and look, and I know the maths won't be right because of the way it is, but there's allegedly 100,000 memberships being sold. Now, if every one of those was an adult membership, the club have made £3.7 million. Now, I know they're not, because there'll be kids ones in there and international ones, etc. But even if you look at it that way, from an FFP point of view, there's another £2 to £4 million that we've got just from offering memberships. So even if you don't get a ticket, if you think of it that way, of that you help and support the club and helping to bring that bottom line of the books up and increase our revenue, then you've impacted the club in a positive way. Just to put a bit of spin on it.
No, I know what you mean, but I still think that's a bit. I don't know. That's a bit of a candy floss one for me.
I'm not sure how other clubs work. Like if you look at the likes of Man United, Manchester City, those sort of teams, that if they have a similar sort of a thing in place where you need a membership to purchase the ticket, and there's no cap on that. I think that's what I was surprised. The same as you, Deka, that it's literally unlimited.
It's insane. Honestly, it's insane. So you got 100,000 people, right, going for 10,000 tickets, maybe. I mean, how?
Yeah.
Come on.
Probably somewhere in the region of that.
That's insane. That is insane. And as I say, I felt like I bought it and then sat there and thought, you've just been taken for a ride there. Well done. That's how I felt personally.
Okay. Anything that Besty since you got cut off mid-sentence?
Sorry, I was just seeing if I could fit in that cabinet behind us. I wondered when I saw the pictures of the 80,000 places in the queue, if it was just a way of them there's just one bloke in Saudi Arabia repeatedly going through and paying £37 about 10,000 times, just as a way of getting around FFP. I'm with Deka a little bit. I don't really see. It feels like you're paying £37 for a chance of maybe getting a ticket in the ballot. Otherwise, you just don't get that opportunity. I know some will go to general sale, but you're behind then in the queue. Did I see was there something like money off in the club shop you could get or something like that? There was one little bit that was actually fair. Shiraz it was. You could get some discount in Shiraz bar. And
that's always been the case, that, Besty.
Yeah, you got that anyway. Yeah, got that anyway.
Even you, non-match day, you get 10 or 20% off on food and drinks.
Is that as a member or is it with a season ticket?
Season
Same
ticket,
thing.
I'm not sure.
It's membership.
So it might not be a new thing, but it's still a thing at least. Like, you can kind of, obviously you're still giving them money to get a pint, but you're recouping to a certain extent a little bit of it. Like, but I don't think it's a great deal. I think up until after the memberships were kind of getting sold, I'd assumed that in order to have a ticket, so if I couldn't go to a game and I wanted to give a ticket to, say, someone who wasn't a member or someone else, I thought that they would have to have been a paid up member to get that ticket, but it turns out we just need a supporter number.
Yeah, just need to register on the account, yeah.
Yeah, like I think you had to have a purchase history, maybe was one of the things. So I don't really, I don't understand what the benefit is, apart from what it would appear to be a pretty minuscule chance of getting tickets in the ballot. There's not enough in it for me. Like, have a
so do you think, Besty, that it would have been fair if they said, like, there's 35,000 memberships going on sale, kind of, first in the queue you get one? Would you say that was better than going unlimited? Do you think unlimited?
They could have balloted memberships, couldn't they? I suppose, theoretically.
Yeah,
ballot the ballot.
Yeah,
which is essentially what they did last season, because obviously there was a limited number of members, and if you were lucky enough to hit right and get into the queue and be able to buy one, equally it was the same with the small number of season tickets that went on sale last season. So it's still a bit of a ballot even when we had the queuing system. The difference for me is I get people that were complaining about the fact that you had to be in the queue at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning when the tickets went on sale, but you knew if you got through to that queue in a number below something like, I don't know, 5,000-6,000, you were getting a ticket. You were guaranteed one, more or less. Whereas now you could be number one in the queue and still not get a ticket. So it's definitely
crap, it's absolutely
you're going now from not knowing whether you're going to have a ticket for weeks potentially, because of when the ballot opens versus, because I think it's going to be something like 3 weeks in advance of games. Saying that, we're only a week and a half away from the first game of the season, and nothing's been released around that yet. So
I'd say I don't mind getting away from the queue system. I think it's okay, because it was always 10 o'clock in the morning, wasn't it? 10 o'clock on a weekday. Like, we all work full time. You could have been in a meeting, or you could have been traveling somewhere. You could have had a family thing happening. So I'm not having a queue system.
But you don't have to be in the queue, Besty. Anybody that your supporter number is shared with can log on and buy a ticket for you. We've all done it. There's always somebody available.
I still think getting away from the queue system is a good thing, though. I think there's always, that notwithstanding, you can log in on. Well, we've seen it. We've got lads that'll log in twice, at the same time on different browsers, and be number 1,000 in one browser and number 30,000 in another browser. So it's not fair anyway. It doesn't necessarily go on the time that you log in or
But isn't that a ballot? It's still a ballot as such, isn't it? It's a lucky dip as to where you go into the queue.
It is, but then if you stretch the time that you can enter the ballot, instead of, you must be on at 10 o'clock to have even the remotest chance. So you've got 24 hours to put your name down. It means that people aren't sitting refreshing on a computer or sitting watching that little footballer for like 2 and 3 hours. I think it's a better. I do think that's one thing they've got right. I think the ballot is a better way of kind of distributing those tickets. It's not a totally fair way. The fairest way will be to have everyone get one, but that's just not going to happen, is it? So
I think a ballot with a capped membership number was the fairest way, and not an unrealistic membership, like 100,000 people. That's insane. Like,
I've seen someone mention if you got a ticket for one game, it made you less likely to get one for the next game. Like that could have been a way of doing it. Which, I mean, I suppose would be fair, because you could theoretically have someone who's paid £37 for membership, enters 19 ballots for league games this season, and comes away empty-handed.
Yep.
Law of
that'll
averages
be
is going
me.
to happen to somebody.
That'll be me. That 100%.
Yeah. Well, to be
You're
fair,
a
lads,
podcast, mate, you'll be out.
there's been a couple of comments in here that says that the ballot now has opened up a lot more. It's basically opened the door for people that could never get a ticket before, and I think we'll have to look at that before, because yes, obviously people that know season ticket holders or members in the past, then the chance of them getting a ticket have been pretty high. You'll know yourself, Deka, and other people in our WhatsApp group. If people wanted a ticket, then almost got 199% of the time, because we had that many season ticket holders in the group. Now that stops that chance, and that minimizes the chance of those people that know a season ticket holder. Like, I can't buy an extra one, Mark can't buy one, Besty can't buy another one. It's took that away. So now it's basically a free for all to those non-season ticket holders, which was never the case before.
I think on the face of it, that's a good thing, though, because there's been. I mean, I remember before the cup final, people talk about it being a closed shop, and the people would just kind of buy the tickets and get one for their mate and make sure that they got the point that would come towards it. I suppose away games are the same. It works on the same kind of premise almost as people buying an away ticket just to get a loyalty point with no intention of going. It's the same kind of thing, really. If every season ticket holder could buy 2 tickets and now can't buy 2 tickets, it means that there are an extra X amount of tickets available for other people to go. Other people should be able to go because, you know, I mean, it's difficult now. I was going to say like a parent with a bane for the first game, which is going to be hard to do anyway, given the ballot situation. But it opened.
Did you get 2 successful ballots then?
No, you just need one, don't you?
You need to be linked in the count, and I think both of them need to. You need to be linked, and it's 2 successful.
Both need to come out.
Well, yeah, but surely if it's a linked ballot entry, then you would end up. That would be one entry for both tickets. It wouldn't be 2 separate. So
that was they communicated that if a child ticket came out, but an adult the adult one didn't, then neither of them would get a ticket because the child couldn't go by themselves. However, if the adult ticket came out on its own, then the adult could go.
That's very poor. I don't like that.
This is what I mean. I think there's so many unanswered questions at the minute. It's always the same though with ticketing, and I think it's until we've got this trial run next week for the Cellar Cup, where it's going to be digital tickets. We'll know what's going to happen. Yeah, and I know Mark, you've been involved with a few things and questions which people have had in regards to the digital ticketing and what's the best way to do this. That's going to be carnage for a lot of people this weekend. And I know some people, that tech-savvy ones, will be fine, no issues whatsoever. But I think a canny chunk of fans will struggle.
I mean, they shouldn't, because it's no different to, taking a ticket and sticking it under the barcode scanner and going through the turnstile. But it's the whole thing of, making sure you've got it on your phone in advance of going. 99% of events that you go to these days are digital tickets. If you go to a concert, if you go to the pictures, anything like that, you get a digital ticket for the majority of them. So,
but I think with that, Mark, you have the option. You can literally have an option to print one off. You don't have to have the digital ticket. I think that's the difference.
I think for a large number of people, it'll be fine. Like, it's like me going, I've just been as there before to buy my cans, right? I'd use my phone, the Apple Wallet, right? No problems. It's seconds. But I do.
And that's exactly the way that the ticket will work as well. Works exactly the same way. Yeah.
Double click, hold it up. Thanks for coming. See you later. But I do think there'll be some, the older generation, no offense to them, like, really might struggle with that, right? You know what I mean? And, it's just. I think it's something probably I maybe do agree with in the long run as to why they've done it. I do think it's a good decision because it means you can't just pass it on to someone. I get all that.
Do you know what would have been better, in my opinion? Small sections of the fan base. So just pick that random. This X amount of thousands of fans, you're going to have a digital ticket this season to see how
as a trial. It's like a trial.
As a trial run. Yeah.
A good shout that, man.
Then next season, right, it worked. It was mint. Everybody's getting one.
It's a good show.
That's not a bad shout. It's a good idea. I kind of miss having the little
Chris on the board. Get Chris on the ticket board. Is there a ticket board? Get him on it.
There's a job in it, is it? Ticket office.
Scrap loyalty points. Everything.
I'm the Gallowgateshots ticket board representative.
Well, why did you not suggest that?
Because he keeps it quiet.
Because they'd already made the decision to bring it in.
Mark's secret meetings. Secret.
Right. Remember that when he did that? When we were sitting anywhere.
Didn't even tell us about these meetings.
It's hardly a secret when I've told you about every single one that I've been to.
Afterwards.
mate.
No.
Mhm.
You literally pull out your back pocket and went, well, by the way, I was at the
Aye.
meeting at the weekend. And me and him were like, well, you've been where? Sorry,
moving-
sorry.
It's fine. Moving on. Okay. Something else which I want to talk about, and we'll come back to football and sides of things. Bestie. Preseason 12's finished. The lads are back from America. How good was the content that the club were putting out? And you know, I love the content. I absolutely love it. Any sort of daft little things that the lads are doing, I can't get enough of it. We got plenty of that, didn't we?
Loads. It reminded us a bit of, remember when they finished fifth that year, 10, 11 years ago, and they had videos in pre-season like white water rafting and stuff like that.
Paintball and stuff like that, yeah.
Demba Ba was singing the Colaccini song and all that. Like, it reminded us a bit of that. Like the baseball thing was cracking. It was good crack. That they've done it for a while now. The pound into the fork challenge and all that kind of. They've done well with that content. More recently, that one where they're playing Jenga and asking questions, and it's Chris Wood. No, it's not Chris Wood.
Big shock of Chris Wood.
Put his head through it. Gillespie done with Gordon and Wilson, and it's just like, it's only 2 or 3 minutes long, but it's just nice little bits to keep you kind of in the loop. I like watching the training videos, mate, and the pre and post contract stuff, press conference, post match stuff. It's just they're getting far better at it. It's something they're doing really well with.
I think I love it. Honestly, Chris knows how much I love all that stuff. Like, can I just say, just very quickly, the trailer for the documentary, for example, you know, I probably watched that about 1 million times over the last week. Like, I love anything that's behind the scenes related. What I've always thought though is like, I wonder if the players see that as a bit of added extra pressure in regards to like, I go back to the Keegan era, right? We never seen them behind. Do you know that's probably having cigarettes in that man while he's training? You know what I mean? Like, but it's not something you're exposed to. Do you know what I mean? And you don't see that. You know what I mean? Whereas now I feel for any player now these days, like every move is observed and scrutinized, and I think it's really hard for a player, like personally anyway. But back to the content, yes, it was brilliant.
I was going to say that the black and white videos didn't back in the day, but that's a slightly different thing. Like, but
yeah,
maybe back in your day,
your interviews
actually in black and white.
Yeah, sorry, I was not telling you.
We're going to ignore that, isn't it? What an old joke, to be honest.
No, but honestly, do you know what I mean by that? Though?
I get it at a certain point, but I think, you know what it is? I think the lads will crave stuff like that as well now. You can see behind the scenes the group that we have at this moment in time. And you know, yes, we don't see other Premier League clubs and what it's like behind the scenes with them. I don't think anything will come close to what we're seeing at the moment with our lads. I think you might have the odd friendship group, but I think as a whole team and a squad, I think everybody's absolutely buzzing at the moment, and everybody looks like it is a friendship group. It looks like that from the videos that we're seeing.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And I don't for a second as well think any of that's false either, by the way. I don't think it's like, oh shit, she's standing there with a camera with better smile and better joke and laugh funny. Like I don't believe that. I think it's absolutely 100% truthful. I really do. The baseball stuff was amazing. You all know how much I love baseball, and I found it hilarious, to be honest. It was really, really funny. And I suppose it's the sort of with the modern game, the way it's going, you as a club, you have to be on board with that, don't you? And develop and become better and progress on that. And I think why I love it so much as well is it makes, personally for me anyway, it makes me pull for players that maybe. I'm not saying I disliked you. I'm not saying I disliked you. What I mean though is maybe players that I didn't really.
Jacob Murphy.
Well, yeah, one of them. I still judge people on performances. I still, on the field, but like it is nice when you see them behind the scenes and you see how good of a person they are. And I think sometimes you forget that, don't you, as fans? You just judge them for 90 minutes and go, "You shite him."
I think what it was good to see as well, Mark, is the fan interaction. And I saw a lot of things on social media saying, "Why did they never do anything over here in Newcastle?" You literally could not do that in this country with the fan base here because the lads would get absolutely mobbed. It's because it's such a small crowd and a controlled crowd as well. That's why they were able to do it in America, Mark. And it worked perfectly. I'd love seeing the videos, and obviously we know a lot of lads that were over there as well, and lads that live there. And for the club to do that, we haven't seen this in a long, long time. Basically, the club realizing how important the fan base is across the world.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's all about growing the brand, isn't it, and getting more people interested in it. And that's why we've gone out there as have the other clubs. But the access has been absolutely amazing. I mean, like you say, we've seen loads and loads of photos from friends that we know that have gone out there and lived there and stuff like that, videos, and it's made their made their day, made their week, month, year, the lot, because they're absolutely beside themselves that they've been able to go and talk to the players, have a photo with them, have conversations with them. It is something you see quite often, over in America with like meets and greets and stuff like that have been going. I mean, I can remember years ago, like in the club shop and like in the Moncur suites and stuff like that. And it was more for like junior magpies of going, like where the players would be all sat up and you could go along and get a photo and get autographs and stuff like that. But being able to have that access to them now is amazing. But you're right, we couldn't do it here because we see what the sites are like on, at half term and in the summer holidays with the hundreds and thousands of kids, just outside of the gates of the training ground waiting to catch a glimpse or, potentially get a photo or a sign, an autograph or something like that.
Just do a ballot for that.
Get a ballot.
I'd see who can stand outside the training ground.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because you in years gone by, the training ground was the one place that was, the place that players could go to escape, because it was kind of away from, other than the Keegan days when obviously we used to train through it at Durham and it was all open. But you could have it behind closed doors. You were able to, get away and escape from the cameras, escape from that pressure that Deka's talking about, because it wasn't there. Whereas it was just on special occasions where there would be an open training session or something like that to get it in, or invite a local team along or something like that of kids that have done something to go and watch them. It's just all about breaking down those barriers and making them a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, it has been lush to watch though, Besty. That laid back environment where we saw a lot of where they had the open training session, and was that in Philadelphia? Where did they go after Philly? Or somewhere else, wasn't it?
Atlanta and New York.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah, it might be in Atlanta where they did the open training session. But there's just
I think it was.
The players are just sat there chilled and stuff like that, and there's just fans just mingling, just networking around them, which was surreal to see.
There's loads of stuff on the club shared on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and whatnot, where it's exactly that. It's just kind of the lads cutting about with the fans and kind of having 5 minutes, and like the lads were saying, you couldn't do it here. There'd be the old Jermaine Jennings thing about it being a goldfish bowl. I mean, to a degree, was right, because it's
it was right. Yeah.
Like the players always say, you sit in the restaurant in Newcastle, you go out in the city centre, and it's like Eddie Howe, like kind of hid for a year. His first year manager, he was like, I'm sure he was going to. I read he was like wearing a disguise to go to the shops and stuff like that.
Like a tash on that.
I'm gassy.
I've seen today 3 separate photos of Anthony Gordon in John Lewis from 3 different people I know today.
Yeah, I think we saw when Tonali signed as well. I think him and his last one went for a stroll around the city centre.
Yeah,
probably not realising that they're going to get mobbed.
Yeah,
and it happens to every single player. And do you know what it is? When things are going well, it's fine. It is fine, but that can quickly change. And
I didn't want to reference that.
Chris,
it's a really good point, mate. I'm normally the negative one on here, and I didn't want to reference that. But all of the good content and all of the millions of fans going to watch them train and stuff. It's great when it's going well, but you just never know, right? If it goes bad, you never know. Just to reference what you mentioned about Atlanta there. Obviously, I'm going over there in October to see me mate Daz. Daz is probably he'll be watching now, maybe, but he will be. And he was saying it was amazing that he was going to work in Atlanta and there was just black and white shirts everywhere. And he was saying I never see that, but like when they were over there, he said it was amazing driving to work, seeing so many people in black and white shirts. So it is amazing to see so many fans and embracing it. It's really good. Like,
I want to know. Sorry, Besty, carry on.
I was going to say, do you reckon it's a step towards like maybe playing a charity shield over there, or
100%.
Remember years ago they had that 39th game pattern about taking a random game this season.
The Premier League, it'll be like MLB, it'll be like NFL. 100% the game will be.
It feels like it's going that way. Like
in the next, I would say honestly, it'll be sooner. In the next 3 years, you're gonna see some Premier League games
Well,
there
what
shouldn't be a league game out there. I'm 100% against that.
I don't think there should be. I don't think it should be. But then
I
I
agree,
agree.
Mark,
You can flip it around though, Deka, and even you, Besty. You will be glad that you can then go and see an NFL game or a baseball game in this country. So I think we'll have to look at it from both points of view. Personally,
And can I
I
just
don't
add
want to
that?
see it. But
Yeah, me and Besty have seen NFL games, and I've seen the MLB games, and they are season games. They're not friendlies, and you know what I mean. They actually are. They something, you know what I mean. And I totally agree with what Mark's saying. I wouldn't want to be Newcastle United where it's St James's, but we're playing in New York Stadium. I wouldn't want that because we've got home advantage. That's why we want it, right? So I totally take Mark's point. Like
that's why Green Bay never plays the home team over here because the crowds they get at Lambeau Field and that they just wouldn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I agree it will happen though.
The away team, I think it will happen. I think it will.
Yeah.
And I think it's right to say that it's part of. It's kind of when you go to a game now. I think this the stack thing that they're doing down by the St James's Station. I think that'll look more like what me and Deka have seen at the NFL than maybe is what you people are used to. Because they make such a song and dance about it, they make it like a part of the, like the tailgate thing. There's George wrote a thing about tailgates and the
it's like Wembley Park sort of thing, like that
Box
sort
Park.
of thing. Box Park,
yeah, similar enough to that. I didn't go there for the cup. I was actually there the other week, like, but I didn't go there for the League Cup final. But the impression I get is that that's a kind of, it's like almost like a part of the event. It's not the match isn't the 90 minutes isn't all you go for now. It's all the kind of the song and dance around it. And this whole summer series thing feels like it's been the kind of, maybe it's not the first step in that, but a step in that, a pretty big one as well, because it's been, by all accounts, massively popular over there.
Yeah,
I'm glad we've been a part of it. Really glad we've been a part of it.
We finished third in this competition. I've honestly got no idea how that happened when every team doesn't play each other. It's a bit random. Chelsea won it, Villa came second, and we came third. Your guess is as good as mine how that works.
That's fine.
It's a bit weird. Didn't we win all the games? Or did we draw one?
No,
Can't even remember now.
No, we won one.
We won one, drew two.
Won the last one. Two draws, that's right.
Who did we draw with? Was it
1-1 with Chelsea. 3-3 with Villa.
Chelsea beat Brighton.
Yeah.
And then beat Brighton.
Strange. Made no sense to me how that worked out. But like I think I said, like over the showcase and being over there. And do you know what it is? I will be glad if I never see anybody run up those rocky steps ever again.
I'm going October, so I'll send you a video. No, please don't.
You will as well. And now you will.
100%.
You'll get halfway up, man. You'll have to stop to have a kebab. You'll be knackered.
I'm doing the Great Northumberland in September. I'm absolutely dreading it. I haven't done any exercise at all.
I was going to say, you might want to start training.
I know, mate. Honestly, I'm dreading
it. You'll be fine, mate. If anybody does have any question that is watching, just send them over. We're going to go for another 15-20 minutes before we call it a night.
Oh, we're at home. We can go for hours, Chris. We're at home. It's fine.
It's not lockdown.
I've got plenty more cans. I'm on holiday for 3 weeks now. Last day today. Best ever.
3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah.
Are you a teacher?
Jesus. Pass the cans. Yeah.
Who gets a 3-week holiday?
Me.
Right, so let's go through the question. This one is from Josh Stockton, who sends in a donation as always. Thanks very much, Josh. He says, "Hi lads, hope you're all well." Question is, are you concerned by our lack of squad depth? I have a feeling we might be in for a rude awakening this season, and I'm not sure if we're quite ready for Champions League football yet. I'm still buzzing though. I'll start this one off. I'm not overly concerned because I still think we'll get another 2 in. I think the squad now, relying on injuries, will be all right. Yes, I would like to see another 1 or 2 come in, but I'm not overly concerned.
I'm not concerned about a lack of depth because I think we've got decent depth. We've strengthened in some key positions. We've got players, 2-3 potentially that can play in various positions. We've got the 2 young lads that have had a really, really great pre-season in Miley and Anderson as well, which is something that we mightn't have been appreciative of before. But I am concerned with the whole Champions League. I think we touched on it a couple of weeks ago that and some people thought we were being really, really negative, saying that we potentially won't finish as high as we did last season. I definitely don't think we will, because of the fact that we have got all of these extra games, the cup games as well, where we got knocked out in the FA Cup first round last time. All of these things start to add up and start scratching your squad.
There's been a great comment, and sorry to interrupt you, but I'll stay with you. There's been a great comment by Fish and Rods that says, we are good enough to give Champions League sides a good game. It's when the likes of Dummett and Richie get us knocked out of the cups. Do you think we'll see the likes of the teams in the cup? Obviously, last season we saw decent squads out. We saw a decent starting 11.
I'm not having this disrespect of Richie, mind.
I knew it was coming.
But
I knew it was
from
coming.
what I'm trying to say, in the cup games, you're going to see quite a drop in quality.
I'll take you back to Chef Wed away last season. I'll take you back to that game if you want. Oh, thank you very much, my love. Just give us a can. Chef Wed in the cup last season, we made 7-8 changes, I believe, in that game. Oh, absolutely dross. And we got beat. It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen. And I agree with the comment by Fish and Rods, absolutely. Because I think, like, for example, look at Shea, right? Shea went down with an injury on the game just gone there. If we lose Shea, right? Tell us the option that's coming into play is our ball-playing right centre midfielder.
There isn't one.
There isn't one. So what squad isn't that? It's not that deep. We might have 100 people that can play left wing, but it's not that deep. Like, it's not like in that. Honestly, that just. You what, sorry, mate?
99 now.
99. Well,
we've got at least 6 centre backs that can play. Yes, the quality might not be as good, but
that's what Josh mentioned.
The depth's there.
Josh
6 centre backs.
Yeah.
Which 6 centre backs have we got?
Botman, Shea, Lascelles, Byrne, Dummett, and that young kid.
Play centre back against who was it?
He's still a centre back.
Nah, we can't be having that. Like, Mark, we can't be having that. Come on,
there's your 6.
Nah.
Well, that's the problem, then, isn't it? And listen, we're not. It's a work in progress. It's going to take window after window after window to get where we all expect and want it to be. Of course, it is. It could take a long time. But I actually do agree with Josh. I really do. That I think. Listen, if we are lucky enough to be injury free, of course we've got more than enough quality there. We're okay. We are. But I have to be realistic and say, do you know what it is? But probably might not be.
Well, very lucky last season with injuries. Apart from Isaac, I would say we're lucky with injuries.
Well, my mate got injured every 5 minutes.
We weren't lucky with injuries at all.
Yes,
a lot of players out.
Compared to what Wilson's injury record is, his last season he wasn't too bad.
No, Wilson was good. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
He missed practically the first half of the season.
Isaac.
Yeah,
Isaac. Yeah, I suppose. But
the pair of them did. Yeah,
I think we done a podcast earlier on saying if we stay injury free for this amount of time, we'll be fine. We'll get Champions League football, and we did it. We stayed injury free.
Yeah,
I
think I agree.
I read a while ago that we had one of the highest days lost to injury out of all the Premier League last season.
Was Emil Kraft involved in that though? He was out for the full season. It's players like that are going to knock out.
Dummett was injured loads last season. You know, every time it was like rumored to come back, he got injured again. But he got an extension for that. You know, he got an extension. Not an extension about his house.
Dummett for about 4 years now.
For a while.
Championship, really.
However, he must be sitting in the house, pants down, going like, how. Like, I'm living the dream here. Like,
he'd be buzzing at the stacks opening up again.
Unbelievable, like. Honestly, it's unbelievable, like. But no, I think, I do think there's a. Listen. Well, the question I ask is: then, do you think we'll bring any more in then before we start? Do you think we'll bring any more players in?
I think we'll get a couple in.
I think Livramento is probably a one that's looking more and more likely. I'm not sure on the fee that's being. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not sure on the fee that's being mentioned. Some of the numbers that are being thrown around, but without doubt, he's quality. He's absolute quality. I think had he have not had the bad injury last season, then the money being quoted, you probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at. The fact that they're lining up Max Aarons would kind of indicate that he's coming in as a bit of a replacement there.
Hasn't he getting injured again in the friendly? Or was that a vicious rumour I've seen?
Oh, not that I
did see that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he said that he had picked up a knock before half time, but then he came back out to try and run it off. Then he got subbed off not long after. the second half
Okay.
started.
I think it's a lot of money. Like,
I just want to
personally,
mention it because just speaking on injuries, and it's from Daz that says Bruno was out with his ankle in Longstaff and Willock were out for a bit. To be fair, what I was referring to, can remember that challenge that went on Bruno and we all crapped our pants thinking, right, he's out for the rest of the season. He missed a game or two.
Yeah. To be
That's
fair,
what I
to
mean.
Bruno, you know,
But he
could've
continued
been a
to.
lot
He
worse.
played the rest of the season injured, though, as we all know.
Yeah.
And he was never.
Yeah.
He was never the same.
You know what it is? We said that and we said we can't wait for the season to end because then he can go and get that ankle worked on. Nothing's
And
happened.
he didn't.
Like, nothing's happened. So maybe,
if I'm being honest,
it was just like the fitness and it was catching up with him.
in pre-season, I think he's looked like he's still carrying it. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't think he's moving. I don't think he's moving the same Bruno that I seen when he first came. Maybe that's just me being harsh, but yeah, listen. I suppose you could say this for every single team in the league, right? If you have a bad run of injuries, a couple of key men go down, you're in trouble. Other than say Man City's, of course. I think Kris, you mentioned something last week, didn't you, about the physio? Sorry, apologise. Was it the girl from the England squad who Gareth Southgate really recommended is now part of our lot? I think she does yoga and all sorts of stuff, isn't it?
Mate,
Was it you that said that?
I never said that.
No, I didn't. No, was it not you?
You've been speaking to somebody else.
Oh, it must be someone else then. But we've got someone part of the squad now, apparently, who was set up with the England squad, who does the yoga side of things and sort of like body mechanics and stuff like that. And Southgate really recommends that. And Howe's got her in for us. All that type of stuff, you hope it'll work in the long run, don't you? Of course, you hope Wilson will be fit. You want Isak to be fit, but I do worry you're a little bit thin in certain areas, considering the amount of games we're going to be playing. And as soon as we come and rely on Dummets of the world, it's centre half, and what we're done. We'll definitely lose them type of games. And mention what you said, Kris, the cup games. That's where I think we'll struggle.
Yeah, but I don't think Dummett hasn't been signed to come and play every game, or even he's there in an emergency. Isn't he? That's what he's there for.
When that emergency comes,
off field. That's why he's there. Off field stuff.
Hey, I don't know. Nah. Listen, when the emergency comes, when that bell starts ringing, we're in big trouble then. Because if he is the person getting drafted in,
he's sixth in line though, isn't he?
I think
you're going to have to get way down that injury list and suspension lists before Dummett's getting anywhere near that first team.
Well, he's probably the sixth. He's probably the strongest sixth choice centre half in the Premier League. To be honest with you,
he probably will be.
Choice centre half.
I'm struggling there. I'm struggling.
He's not as bad as you make out.
He's not,
mate.
If he's not we're not going to win the league with Paul Dummett playing football, but he's not. Him playing a couple of games isn't going to get plunging down the table towards the relegation.
I think. Do you know what it is? I think we know why Dummett's here. Okay, helps with the Champions League spot. Obviously, you need homegrown, whatever. Okay, he helps with that aspect of it. And I think Eddie Howe. I think we'll have to take the things which you were saying about Jamal Lascelles as well behind the scenes, and use part of that with the
leadership group and stuff like that
there as well. And I think, Deka, I'm with you, and people know my thoughts on it. But I think for the likes of Dummett or Gillespie even to get anywhere near that starting 11, it's gonna take another pandemic for those to get anywhere close to that team.
So Maximin's gone now. Deka hates all of them.
No, I don't. No, but when they say leadership group, I don't believe Dummett's telling Isak what to do, or he's telling Bruno how to do his job, or it's just they're not listening to Paul Dummett, man.
They're not as disrespectful as you. They will
maybe
be
they're
listening.
not. No, maybe they're not. But I don't believe Dummett's calling the shots. Like that's just my opinion.
Going back to the question,
Eddie says different.
Maybe. He's actually said that about Paul Dummett, has he? He's actually said that Paul Dummett's calling the shots.
Nah,
he called out all of the players and stuff like that.
Oh, man, Mark, man.
To be fair, I don't think his name is mentioned in the leadership team.
Of course it wasn't. He may hold the door for them, the guy in the room, but he's not.
Right, we'll move on. Besty, what were we going to say, mate?
What Paul Dummett, man? I want to go be that as well. That question, I'm saying, about being concerned about lack of depth. I'd be happy to finish in the European spots again not Champions League. I'm talking Conference League.
Mm-hmm.
Given the football we've got to play next season, we're in the Champions League. We're hopefully going to have a swing at the cup again. If we finish, I think 8th gets you Conference League because top 5 is probably going to be Champions League. I'll take it, no problem. I think that's a good season for us again.
Totally agree, Besty.
We look at what West Ham, how they've struggled this year being in the Conference League. Obviously they won it, but they finished thought they struggled for a lot this season. They were kind of there on the bottom. They were in the relegation conversation with still 2 or 3 games left. Like, if we can stay in touch of the top 5, 6, and in the end of the season be in Europe again next year through league position, I think that's a great season.
So,
do you
Besty,
think
when you
relies
say
on
that,
what?
sorry, Chris.
So I was going to say, Best, do you think that relies on how well we're doing in other competitions as well, though? Do you think it'll be judged that way as well? Or do you think if we get knocked out both clubs, we're out the group stage of the Champions League, then we'll only finish 7th next season? Do you think that's a successful season?
Is that a successful season? Yeah.
Okay.
If we hadn't finished 4th last season, I would have taken 7th this season, if you know what I mean. Because I think I was saying 7th or 8th for last season, this time last year, as part of that kind of progression. We're ahead of schedule. The Champions League, I think Darren Eales in that Amazon trailer says it's worth 40 million to the bottom. So it's brought things on quicker than we would have had otherwise. I don't think we would have been getting Tonali if we hadn't finished in the top 4, for instance. Well, Harvey Barnes might have come. He might have gone elsewhere because of the money involved and all that. So it's already had an effect. I think we're better. Certainly, the first 11 is better than it was last season, albeit a year older.
Because you've said that, though, Bestie, do you think if we don't secure Champions League football next season again, we run the risk of losing players that have been brought in with this dream of Champions League football? So the likes of
Possibly.
Bruno, Botman, Tonali, Isaac.
Maybe.
I don't think a one season blip, if you look at it that way, would do that. I think that they'd hang around that because as long as if you're still getting into the Europa, yes, of course they want to play in the Champions League, but we're well ahead of schedule. That's what people need to remember
as a football club. But for a player to have Champions League now this season, so let's use Bruno. I think Bruno's probably the perfect example, right? Bruno's got Champions League football this season, okay? He came to this football club with the dream that was sold to him about Champions League. If we then don't go and secure that again next season and another team comes sniffing, even one in the Premier League that's got that Champions League football that can afford him, I don't think he'll think twice. I think he'll be like, right, that I'm going to go again.
Nah, I think you're completely wrong on him there. Like,
nah.
He's even said himself that he didn't expect it to be in the Champions League this season, and it's beyond where he thought we'd be.
He's had it now. He's got it.
Yeah, and that's why I think if we have this season in the Champions League, it'll wet their whistle to be in there, and then if we do somehow, and it's highly likely. Let's not beat about the bush. It's highly likely that we might not qualify again next season. I don't say that you're going to have a massive fire sale of players wanting to leave just because we've missed out.
I'm not saying a fire sale, but I think I honestly think Bruno would be the one. Let's say, argument's sake, Arsenal come in for him. Let's say, worst case scenario, we do not get Champions League football next season. Arsenal come sniffing for Bruno. Here he goes.
You're doing him a massive disservice there.
Here he goes.
I think the quotes from the documentary that we've only seen in the trailer, I think can be spun negatively. Where he says, "I'm born to play in the Champions League." That's one of the quotes, right? I'm born to play in the Champions League. I want to play in the Champions League, and all that type of stuff. And I think, I don't know. I think I agree with Mark, to be fair, in the degree of that we have obviously achieved this so early than we've expected. But I do think that the board and stuff and those behind the scenes will be thinking, okay, right, this is where we've met and we need to maintain that. And I still feel, that the mission statement is to be number one, right? And that's, again, there was a quote in the documentary that said that is the overall goal, is to be number one. And I don't know. I think that behind the scenes they'll be expecting to finish top 4 again. I don't think we will. I don't, but I'm no one. But I think those behind the scenes will be expecting to do it again. Like what I was going to ask Bessie just before was that, and I agree with you, by the way, it will be a great season if we finish in the European places. So if that's a great season, what do you then expect? What are you expecting? If you think that's a great season, what's your expectation?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it. I think if you didn't finish in the Europa League, the Conference League space, so I think that's it next season. I think anything lower than that would be underwhelming.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Although, having said that, we could finish third in our group in the Champions League and then go on and win the Europa League and then qualify for the Champions League that way. I'll take that.
And finish.
We're talking about this, right? And I'm pretty optimistic again. This for this upcoming season. I think we'll have another decent season. I think yes, it'll be harder than last season, but I think like you mentioned, Besty, I think around 5th pushing, we'll be there. I don't think we'll drop down to 8th.
I don't know. For me, you've just got to look at Liverpool strengthening, Chelsea strengthening, Villa finished very strongly.
There's teams that we are strengthened as well.
Tottenham are going to have a good 105 million. Whatever Kane's worth in their back pocket in a minute as well. So
hey, mind you,
Besty, they had that when they sold Bale as well.
The weird thing was then they bought good players. They're just not the right ones.
Yeah,
like Soldado and I think Lamella came in and they didn't buy badly. It just didn't work.
I do worry about the Chelsea's and on that patch, and I the Villa situation. I agree with Mark saying there. I thought I was actually really impressed with them based on that one game. Of course, it's one game. They have strengthened really well. It's going to be very, very tough. I feel like and I say this every year about the league, but I think this season coming could be the toughest, the toughest Premier League we've ever seen. I think top 8, 9. I
think Man City are head and shoulders, but from them down, I'm not saying we're going to finish second, but I think the top 10 is going to be so competitive because then you've still got you've got Fulham who had a great season last time around, Brentford.
Brighton's still there. Brighton's still kicking around.
Brighton a great side, but I think they've bought some out of this. Honestly, it's going to be if you were a neutral, I think it'd be a great season to watch. It's going to be one thing about players might want to leave if they don't qualify for Champions League again. I remember finishing 5th one season that we played Wolves last game. I think we drew 1-1 or 2-2 maybe, and the fans they got booed off into the game. They did a lap of on around the pitch, and I was stood in the Gallowgate, and maybe 2/3 of the stadium was empty at the time. It's not just the players that'll disappear; fans will go as well. I think.
No, you're spot on there, Besty.
It's been easier to get a ticket in the ballot then, won't it?
Exactly what I was going to say. It's been 2 years or whatever it's been, 20 months where it's been absolutely brilliant. But you cannot wait to go to the game every week. It'll plateau at some point and people start getting fed up. I've seen people last season took their toys out of the pram, man. Honestly, it's not always going to be this hard to get tickets because it's just how people are.
But I do think what Besty's saying there,
it's how anything goes.
The trajectory of the club, hasn't it? It's been like that. It's been insane, hasn't it? And it cannot continue to be that. It just can't. It just can't.
So Christmas last year, Christmas at the end of 2021, if you'd have said that, we'd be sitting July 31st in 2023 saying, I won the Champions League. I hope we're probably going to finish 5th or 6th. We could 8th would be disappointing. You think, what have you been drinking?
Yeah, it's do you know what it is? It's honestly, it's mint. The situation we are in at the minute, it's mint, right? And I know a lot of people watching may think it's probably took a bit of a negative turn. People always say that would be a negative when we're saying we're not going to have as good a season as what we did last year. I don't know how they come up with that idea because.
But as I've said time and time again, it's not being negative. It's just being realistic.
Yeah, but there's a fine line. I think there's a fine line, and like I said,
Craig Hope's negative. We're fine.
Yeah. Or is he realistic?
I'm still excited. I'm still excited for next season. Okay, I'm massively excited for it.
Right.
But I think the issue which I have, it's not necessarily an issue, but the worry which I have is because last year we went out in that season without any expectations really. Now we have that weight to carry. Okay, we do have that weight 100%. And there's no other way of looking at it. The ownership. The bums on seats which are being brought into this football club, the players that are being brought into this football club, they have been sold a dream. They have said that we want to be, like you said, the best. We want to be number 1 everywhere. Okay. In their opinion, anything less than that, it's a failure. It has to be because when they're saying that, and yes, we're ahead of schedule. We weren't expecting Champions League football for 3, 4, 5 years' time. We're here now. Okay. So if that drops, we take a back step. No matter that project's changed. The project which the ownership had when they first came into this football club has changed. It's been ahead of schedule now, so it's jumped forward 3 years. They don't look back, and if we drop into Europa, if we drop the conference, if we don't get European football, they will not turn around and say, "But it's fine because we weren't expecting to have it for 5 years' time." Not happening.
I think
whatsoever.
That's a really good point. What he said there about. I'm going to reference a bit of a daft one, but Leicester winning the league. Leicester never expected to win that league ever in a million years. They won it in the sacked manager the following year. They weren't saying to him, don't worry about it. It's fine because we didn't expect to win the league last year, so it's all good. That I agree with Kris on that. And listen, let's be fair, right? Let's hope that doesn't happen and we continue what we are on. But I think the point you've made there about they're not going to accept now, oh, well, you're 8th now or 7th now, and that's fine because we weren't expecting to be 4th last season anyway. I don't believe they'll operate that way. As a behind the scenes, I mean, that is.
They have just scrapped year 2, 3, and 4. They've scrapped them. We're there
we're
now.
there.
We need to be, Hence why financial fair play is a huge issue now, because we have to bring players in to keep us in that situation.
Yeah.
If we weren't in Champions League football now, Maxi would still be a player here. And he'd be one pushing us to the next level. He'd be there trying to get into those positions. That's why we'll have to sacrifice players now. We'll have to. And we're just not used to doing that. Every other top Premier League team does it. You see, like some Man City getting players out all the time. Top players.
Yeah,
just leaving
top players as well.
And they're used to it because they bring more talent in.
Yeah,
that's what we need to get used to.
Yeah.
We're still some way away from that point yet, but I think we are. It is that thing of him being a saleable asset and being disappointed that we've only got £20 million from him. That is coming. Bruno's in that Oldham.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Bruno is going to go. It might be when they retire. It might be when they go to Real Madrid or whatever. It's going to happen.
Are you worried about Bruno's contract? All this stuff. There's I'm literally not at all. Like it's pathetic that it's even kind of being said. I think personally,
he's only just signed a new one.
Yeah, I know, it's mad, isn't it? But there's 100% he wants another one, though, right? It's clear. It's clear as day that he wants another one.
This is going to be something which has happened a hell of a lot more, numerous times throughout the season, where we'll see players have contract negotiations if we keep on going on this arc which we're on at the minute. It happens everywhere else. Players get new contracts left, right, and centre, and it's something which is going to happen to us because the more new players you bring in, wage is a huge issue to that the one big wages, you're going to have to bump everybody else up to match that wage as well.
It's not just that as well. You're going to be rewarding successful performances, and if Bruno, continues to be our best players or one of the best players, then that needs to be recognised, and it's recognised by tying him into a longer deal. We're doing it for our security as much as it is, 100%. Making him more secure on that side of things from a money point of view. If we do get to a point where we do need to sell him or he wants to leave or something like that, then it's a bigger fee, it's a longer contract, etc. It's securing the club's future as well as his.
I think if you look back over the years, just to reference a different club here, Arsenal really fell foul of not tying people into deals. Van Persie, for an example, went for nothing, and there was a number of players almost one after the other that were just going for free because they didn't tie them down to any deal. It was stupid, and I agree with Mark that you have to. I think as well it's a very fine line, though, isn't it? As a club where I think Mark mentioned we've just given him a new one, so do we really have to give him another one so quickly? It's a fine line because sometimes you get through over a barrel, because Isak will want one, and Wilson's got everyone will want one. So it is.
But again, the issue you cannot just be dishing out contracts left, right, and centre. I'm seeing some comments here that people are putting in. Again, if we start handing out these contracts and putting wages up, just think of the bottom line. FFP, we're already seeing that we're struggling massively with being able to attract additional players in. If we're going to raise somebody's wages up, it then takes away from that figure. We've got people complaining about not being able to sign players because we can't get them through the door. We can't get them through the door because we've got huge wage bills and not enough money coming in. If we keep continuing to raise wages and don't see any commercial revenue coming in, marketing revenue coming in and increasing, which it won't, then we can't do that. We're in a catch-22 situation and people just are oblivious to it or just don't want to see that fact. And whether that comes across as negative or not, it's the reality of the situation.
Well, I'll tell you the answer for that, Mark. Give Dummett an extension. Oh, we've done that, sorry. We've already done that.
But Dummett's on pennies, man, in the grand scheme of things, isn't he?
Ooh, do you reckon?
No, he's not. He's definitely not.
If you look at him across the squad, he's not. He's going to be on a lowish wage.
Mark, I reckon, right? And I reckon you're looking for what you referred to as our 6th choice centre back, 40 grand a week, easy,
100%,
easy,
100%. Yeah.
I was thinking about 35, but that's not going to be. No. Of course, it's a lot of money to us in the average Joe.
It's a lot
in
of money
that squad. It's not a lot of money.
For your 6th choice centre back.
Yeah, Chris's argument. The 6th choice centre back is on 35 grand a week. Sorry, that's a lot of money. For a 6th choice.
I do for 10. If I know I'm
We're
not going to
fourth,
get
we're
played
fourth
at
choice
all.
ones on 60, 70 grand. Lascelles,
He's captain.
Skipper.
He's allowed.
but he's still the fourth choice.
He's head of the leadership team, mate.
Oh, but it's all right for him and not all right. This is your anti-Dummett propaganda coming out here.
Isn't it unbelievable that he?
It was
defends
fine.
Dummett? It's
It was
such-
fine for it
such
to give Maxi £100,000.
I wonder what Richie's on.
Maxi was never on that, by the way.
Are you joking? He got a new contract every other week.
There you are. Any questions out there, Chris? Get some
Right,
questions.
I'm going to end it on this one. Okay.
I didn't end it, man. Just getting
It is,
going.
right. Well, the reason I'm going to end it, right, is because as people that listen to the audio will realize that we have a new platform for the audio podcasts. So you will see adverts at the start of the podcast and at the end of the podcast as well. Part of the contract as well, for however long a podcast goes on for, we have to put more adverts in between. Okay. And I don't want too many adverts to go on the podcasts.
No one mind, man.
That's the issue. That's the
You
issue.
just fast forward them.
You can't just, it's only 30
Just
seconds.
pretend you listen to
Plus
them.
10, plus 10, we're done. Right.
I do not think.
Last question is from Green Google that says, it's topical because we've just been talking about this. He says, what do you make of Man United's 10-year, £900 million deal with Adidas? We need to be making deals like that soon in order to compete. Besty, you haven't spoken for a while, and you're a huge fan of football kits. The biggest fan of football kits, I would say. Thoughts?
Besides, I'm the fan of biggest football kits.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. Thoughts on that? Do you think that we've been a bit scuppered by Castor and the contract that they had? Then obviously the takeover going through.
I mean, scuppered, yeah. I suppose I've been. What is it, 6.5 a year? Something like that. It works out as.
It's not much.
Jesus.
It's. I mean,
no, I think it might be a little bit more, to be fair, Bestie. I don't think it's that low.
Given that Man United have just signed their effectively £90 million a season. I mean, there's caveats to that. I mean, Man United have been one of the most famous clubs in the world for 40, 50 years longer since the Busby Babes. You know what I mean? So, and Adidas obviously one of the marquee things. They're in Europe every season, winning cups and stuff. So, it goes back to like a fair market value thing, doesn't it? You know, if we'd have signed a contract for £90 million a season for a kit, people would have been saying, well, hang on a second, someone's away here. But we aren't Man United, you know. What was it, 3 seasons left at Castor, or 4, including this season? I think it was a 6-year deal, wasn't it?
No, I think there's only one left, isn't it? I think they've already agreed.
This one, the next,
the last season.
I thought it was 6 years. Well,
I think it's this season and then next.
I'm not sure.
It would be interesting because Man United are obviously an outlier in that regard. I mean, I think Real Madrid is higher. But Man United, certainly as far as English teams go, is like they are miles ahead in that regard. It'd be interesting to see what like teams like Villa, because Villa are Castor as well, aren't they? So it'd be interesting to see what theirs is, or because they've had a similar trajectory to us recently, where they were in the Championship fairly recently. Now they're in Europe, obviously not quite the same level as I say level as us. They probably are. They're a good side Villa at the minute.
They sold Grealish for 100. I think that's out Villa a lot.
Yeah,
that's.
I think it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would be interested to see what the clubs around us, so teams like maybe Villa, I mean, Spurs would be on more than us because they're one of the traditional big 6. Brighton finished around us last season. I don't think would be that far out of step with most of them, to be honest with you. And the longer we're in Europe...
I think we should be way ahead of Brighton, though. I mean, grand scheme of things.
Came up with the same
supporter base more than anything.
I don't think that comes into it, really. I think, I mean...
Yeah, it will, because the whole point of a manufacturer is how many shirts they can sell, isn't it?
There's probably a reason that Newcastle, Brighton were in this summer series together, and I mean Chelsea were, but they were the only one of the traditional big lads in it, weren't they? Liverpool weren't in it, Man United weren't, Spurs weren't, Chelsea weren't, Man City weren't, Arsenal weren't. Yeah, it was all clubs round our level, I would say. Newcastle, Villa, I mean Chelsea being the head of that group. Brentford, Fulham, that's where we are at the minute. And I know we've just qualified for the Champions League last season, but that's still, I think we've got to, like I say, Brighton came up when we came up. They finished higher than we a few times. We'll get more in through the gate than Brighton do. I think we'll probably have more nationally, but I don't think it's that outrageous to say that we are probably an equivalent size to them financially at the minute, or pre-takeover certainly. The takeover
I
skill
think
thing,
I
obviously,
think that caveat pre-takeover. Yeah, I think obviously
Yeah.
what's happened in the last X amount of months. I think that's probably slightly changed things now.
I think you'll see the next contract that was signed with a kit supplier, with Castle, if it's Adidas, Nike, or whoever, will be a lot higher than we've got now. And if we continue to qualify for Europe every season, the next one afterwards will be higher again and higher again. I don't think in our lifetimes we'll ever be on a par with Man United financially.
No.
But I think if the more success that we'll have and the more that comes into the club, I think you'll see we'll close the gap to a certain degree. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, the Man United thing. It would be nice to have £90 million extra or £85 million extra every season, but that's one of those
I
things.
think the issue with Man United, Deka, is that you literally pick them up and put them in their own bracket because it's Man United and they've literally had decades upon decades of success in that worldwide global fan base, which is the size of that compared to probably every other Premier League club, not just Newcastle, every other Premier League club. And I think obviously you put in the neighbours Man City as well. Man United are still that team where worldwide fans will flood to them. And I think that's what helps them massively with the likes of the commercial aspect of football.
Mate, I honestly can't say better than what you've just said. I mean, as much as it pains to say it, like, yes, you have to say that, right? Man United are huge, absolutely huge across the globe. And through our lifetime, certainly as younger kids, it was them every single year. We're just winning everything, and that's where they've built from. We finished in the top 4 once in 20 years. We need to pump the brakes a little bit and understand that. You know what I mean? It takes an awful lot to be able to get that type of deal. I mean, it would be amazing. And that's why people always complain about, sorry, not us, but of course, Man United fans have their own say about their owners, but they're still pumping out some good, big signings and doing good deals. In my opinion, that's an amazing deal, the biggest in Premier League history. That deal will be. And that's the type of club we're trying to compete against. And for all you can, I remember these like sheets that used to come out of like how rich our owners are. We were always like, absolutely eclipsing everyone. We physically can't spend the money, right? Like they are the richest ever, but we can't spend it, and that's the difficulty for us. It's going to be difficult, and I suppose really to start right where we started an hour ago, to Mark's point about, you sell all these memberships, and that's £4 million in the bank, and things like that. You're chipping away, aren't you? And you're trying to get as many sponsorships as you can. You're trying your best, but then you've got Man United who just come in with a deal like that, and it just eclipses you. It just eclipses you, doesn't it? And it's very, very difficult. It really is. But yeah, it's. I do
Which
think,
is why
of course,
it's going to be very. And once again, this is why it's very hard for us to stay there. We got there. It's very hard for us to stay there now. Harder than what it is initially. Break into that top 6. Staying there is a whole different task as well.
It is. I think obviously though, mentioning Brighton for a second, Brighton have done an unbelievable job to punch above their weight for almost year after year after year, if I'm honest. It really is amazing. At least the one thing you can say about us, though, is as whatever that bar is for FFP, we will reach that bar every time. That's the one confidence that I have. Whereas before, Christ almighty, we wouldn't even lift the bar. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't even try and lift it. Whereas now, whatever the FFP bracket is, as a football club, we will try to reach that limit every time.
On that selling club. We'll see Brighton sell their players almost every season.
Left, right, and centre, yeah.
Has gone as well. We hopefully will never be that unless a ridiculous offer comes in for one of our players, and we know for fine well that money's going to be invested elsewhere in the football club as well.
I think the reference to that is a good point as well. That back in the day we saw Andy Carroll for 35 million. Right, I was devastated. Right. And the reason I was as devastated as I was is not just because I loved him. I had no faith that money was going to be reinvested. I had no faith whatsoever. Whereas, let's just say next year, and God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen, but let's say Bruno went for 80 to Real Madrid. Let's just say that happened. For a fact, whatever benefit on the FFP sheet that will have for us, we will do the business.
Use our advantage. Of
course we will. Of course we will. So,
Right, here's some interesting figures for you.
Oh, you better not be talking about wages again, are you?
So no. So still on the whole kits and manufacturers and all of that kind of thing. Would it surprise you to know that we were the 8th highest kit supplier contract in the Premier League last season?
Sounds about right.
Eighth, sorry.
let's try and figure out who's ahead of us. Top six. We're going to chuck in there straight away.
So
Okay,
Spurs,
so
yeah.
Man U, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Right. So there's one between us and them. Right. West Ham.
Nope.
Everton.
Wow.
So Everton,
Shout.
8 million a year. Then we're down at 6.5 million. And then there's a real drop off. So everybody's talking about, this huge amount in fair market value and that, but the next team below us is £3 million a season. So we're already double what they're getting paid. And there's quite a few that are on there. There's West Ham, Leicester, Wolves, and Villa, all in there. And then you've got Southampton, Palace, Leeds, and then again Brighton, who you mentioned. Brighton get 2.5 million a season. So that's where I was saying to you, Besty, that yes, they might be in and around, but from a who's buying their shirts point of view, that's a big impact. And then you've got Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham, down on 1.5, 2 million, and Forest.
You would think Leicester, Leicester like won the league, like, and like to be that's quite mad, that isn't it? That's scary numbers.
But then when you look at shirt sponsors, that's where you see a big difference. Even somebody
that's
like
where you're going to see that huge gap.
There's a big gap in there.
Money-wise.
So West Ham, for instance, they're getting 10 million a season.
I still think
that.
We have to get a training sponsor involved here. So you have Seller on the front of the shirts of home. And you do what Man United. That's what Man United, man, are just streets ahead, right? They've got a different sponsor for their training gear, getting pumped millions there as well.
I'm really
but if we could
surprised we
do
haven't
that,
yet.
yeah, I agree. It will come that. It will.
Do you not
training
think
gear have a separate sponsor?
Do you not think, Bestie, is because we're on such a microscope at the minute that if we're bringing another Saudi company in, it's going to start raising even more eyebrows. I think if it was
Well, it wouldn't have to be.
It doesn't need to be a Saudi company.
It could be anybody.
It doesn't. But unless somebody's knocking on the door, like we was talking about selling players, unless somebody's knocking on the door to do that for your training kit, it's not going to happen. We're not Man United. It's not going to happen.
I do agree with you saying we're under a scrutiny, but if it's done above board though, and it's an actual company that want to invest, then it's fine. In my opinion, it's fine. This isn't the outside thing that, but yeah.
Fully are still involved in it. What are they? The Eastern Asian gambling official partner or something like that?
It's just, are they going to be wanting to pay the big bucks to be a training sponsor at this moment in time? Probably.
But then
not.
again,
we're still a mile. I think we're still a while away from that, having a decent sponsor on the likes of training gear.
True, but what I would say though, and I mean this honestly, is in terms of a marketing standpoint, right? You could say, we guarantee you through content, through YouTube, through free videos to watch, your sponsor is going to be on the training gear 5 days a week for God knows how many videos. Whereas on a match day, you'll see it once.
Yeah, funny, it was obviously included in our sponsorship because they were all over the training gear up until last season. Again, when you look across the other teams, Everton was the same, Leicester was the same. Of the top six, there was only Arsenal who weren't, and I think Arsenal have taken one this season, if I remember rightly. Looking at their gear, I'm sure they've got a training sponsor this season, and then kind of outside of that and those ones that we mentioned, you've only got Wolves who had one last season, and Leeds. Everybody else was just included. Yeah, Wolves was sponsored by Royal Caribbean.
I think we can just put the likes of the training shirt sponsor on the back burner because we've probably just made about 40 million quid on memberships. So that'll help. That'll help. Yeah. I'm going to call it on this one, boys. It's been a pleasure as always. Those watching, just like the video. It means a lot to us for doing that. Become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to become a subscriber to the channel. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member, and you do get access to extra videos, early access to some videos like the fish one, and you do get access to the Telegram group as well. And the Telegram group, it's the best it's ever been, the Telegram group at the moment. It's all split in different categories, and you just join that and chat about anything you want to do.
It really threw us that the other day.
The Telegram group.
It really threw us that the other day, like,
yeah. It can, but it's a great place. If you find the right category for you, it's a great place to be. Thanks, everybody. Fingers crossed, we will be back in the Gallowgateshots studio next week. It's almost done. It's getting there. Me and Mark were there yesterday, was it, Mark? Yesterday. we were there, almost touching.
To be fair, it was ready for tonight. You just couldn't be asked to move things.
Well, I've got 34,000 Telegram messages here.
There we go. That's how good it is.
34,000, man.
That's how good it is. And I think that's not even the new group, Deka. That's
I
the
think,
old
I think
group.
that's just this week, isn't it?
That is unbelievable. That.
Thanks, everybody.
34,000.
What are you doing? Ta-ra.